Welcome. This is Crimey Queen. Thank you for joining us. On this presentation, I am going to continue my presentation on my experience with my Kundalini. Okay, my Kundalini experience. All right, so I have done part one, which shows that the word Kundalini actually is five. It equals five in numerical value, and five also is that which is of Christ, which coincides with Christ, and it says, when you are in Christ, you are a new creature. Now that tells me that coincides with what it means to have your third eye open. It also tells me that is what happened when Eve ate of the fruit of knowledge, or whether it was fruit of good and evil or knowledge, but at the apple, which the word apple also equals five. The word et equals eight. And we can see all of those coincide beautifully in the middle here, where we are told that we would be when we accept that Christ came to die for all sins, or came to save us. Now, in line of this template, the dying and the saving us is also, to me, in on par with the Kundalini. The Kundalini is really giving us an opportunity to face and to deal with all the negativity, all the demonic experiences we have had, or the pain we have held, the shame that we have held within us, because everything that we have experienced have taken a position or a place within us. It has, and that is what I believe, that it is helping us to uncover or deal with or erase those things that no longer serve us any good, than to let us know that they are meant to get out, where their purpose that still remains in us it's only of a service to say, look, I want out of here. It's like saying, according to the Celebrity Get Me Out of Here program, it's like saying, shame, get me out of here. I am shame, get me out of here. I am guilt, get me out of here. And that's what um, those that's the purpose of the Kundalini activation that we need to address. It's so important that we address that. Now, if one can activate the opening of the third eye in any other way, which I believe there must be other ways, why not? Yes, but I do see that there is a great significance and correlation with that snake-like effect of movement that goes up the spinal cord and up to our heads to be activated and illuminated. Now, here, as I say, we dealing and calling on to revelation and water. And water, as I say, is really so important. I am calling this now while I am doing this presentation, because water is a very, very important part, or very important application in activating your Kundalini, in my experience. So we will talk a little bit more about the benefits of the activation, which I think most people know. But in my experience, what I did, for instance, I dedicated 40 days to meditating and soul searching, if you like, and my confession and preparation of wanting to live a better, a cleaner, a healthier life, and of course in that process too to finding my purpose. That was something that was really occupying my mind. What is my purpose? But I realized that I could not address that subject without wanting the answer, being clear that I really wanted the answer. And if I really wanted the answer, it's that I ought to really prepare for the answer. Now, of course, with the wonderful teachers, many wonderful teachers that we have on YouTube, and I have followed a lot of the teachings of people like Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer and lots of the fathers, we call them, of metaphysics and so on. But I also got to the stage where I knew it was about myself. It was about finding my true self. No matter how many books I read, no matter what teachings I got, no one could prepare me for that journey that I desired to take. No one else knew the processes of the experiences that I had embodied within me. No one else knew the pain that I bore. No one else knew the burning desire that dwelt within me. And so I had to come to a place of knowing and recognizing that the importance of committing myself, totally committing myself to that preparation. They say if you don't want to know the answer to a question, do not ask it. And so I had to prepare myself to take the responsibility, because that's what happens when we ask a question and we don't know the answer, because that's why we ask the question in the first place. But be prepared to take the responsibility for whatever answer that you get. So I had to prepare myself for those answers, that those had truths that I had to face, that were necessary to face. So if you are wanting to activate your Kundalini, your third eye, through meditation, I would advise that you really look at yourself within. Be prepared to see your pain. That's another thing. Be prepared to see the shame, the guilt. Be prepared to face those things. It is the willingness to prepare or to face those things that makes the journey much lighter. When people are talking about seeing monsters and seeing all sorts of things, of course I had monsters. But my preparation to face them, they already knew I faced them. It's like they had no power over me. So I meditated and took a series of baths. And my commitment was to do this for 40 days, where I used 9, and this was done all intuitively without someone telling me. But I suppose by then I was beginning to understand that the numbers were talking to me. They were talking to me and I was listening. They were talking to me and I was paying attention. So I took, and I was blessed to have very good quality oils, um, essential oils, and fruits of like grapefruit, citrus fruits, lime and lemon, lavender, clove, and they were all fruits. I believe they were all frankincense and myrrh, of course, and there was cinnamon. And so the idea that got to me was that, again, I realized that I had been indoctrinated through the teachings of Christ or Christian, I could say, in Christianity, and I wanted to understand how those teachings had impacted my life. I wanted to understand how and how those had affected me positively or negatively. So I was prepared to face those things. I was prepared to say, look, Jesus Christ, however you come, and I want to know, I hear about this, I've learned about this, I've learned about that. I want to understand who you really are. I want to understand that makeup because some things don't make sense to me and some things make sense to me. I want to understand. If you are this or that, show me your character. Okay, so I also read the New Testament and I read on Matthew and I understood there, and not as much as I do now, but I understood from there that Christ Christ is the spirit that dwells within us. It's that, I think they call it the crystal. I'm not quite sure, but it still means it's that spirit that rises up, the serum or the drive, whatever it is, that rises up and gets and where we become illuminated. And that was my understanding. But what I found very fascinating in retrospect is that I was choosing 9 oils, and I also asked Spirit to help me choose the oils. And I would put 3 drops. Of course, that was the intention, but sometimes they were more than 3, and it didn't matter. 3 drops of these oils in a warm bowl of water, and I made sure that I showered for a long while in meditating under the shower. When I say meditating, asking for cleansing of my spirit and all the elements, the ailments, and all the hurt and the pain and the guilt, and I would visualize that the water over my head was washing and flushing everything down. In line of that, I had also changed my diet, and I felt that that is very important. It's no good doing this on the external and not working from the internal. So I think I had changed my diet a few weeks before I started this ritual. And so I was already feeling better. I was feeling lighter. I was feeling empowered even in that, because just to discipline yourself to doing something that you want to do makes you feel stronger. So I'm just looking at the time, so I want to make this short, but also that you get the point of what I am saying. So changing your diet, detoxing, having that detox, which is internal and external. Now, I had no clear prescription, if you like, or from anyone of exactly what to do, but I was working intuitively with all my operations in that process. In that process, I meditated perhaps twice a day, most days, twice a day, and with candles and candle gaze. These were light, and I took lots of long walks in nature as much as I could. I took long walks even in cemeteries as well, because in cemeteries you are presented many questions and it's very quiet place. Generally, it's a quiet place that your mind can feel at ease to just roam. So I knew that I had to prepare for something. And in line of the 40 days, I took 40 days because after reading the New Testament, I realized there was a lot of big things had happened. 40 days, well, the children of Israel, 40 days, it was 40 years, and I did pray, please don't make my intention go to 40 years. I don't have that long to wait for an answer. I want answers now. So that was something I was very clear about, and I believed that it would happen, that I would get my answers in 40 days. That's what I intended to do. But having said that, the other thing that gave me such empowerment to do that, I had already many years, well, not many years, but I'd already gone through discipline of giving up smoking, for instance. So I understood the essence and process of giving up something, of sacrificing that gratification that I crave for. And I understood that. So sometimes it's important when we are doing something to remember, where have I performed such a or similar desire or similar process, so you can grab onto that experience of strength and say, well, I've done that before, so hence I can do more than this, and since everything is evolves, I can do more. I'm not expecting to do the same thing I did last year. I'm expecting to do more because I'm growing. I am ready to grow. I am ready to be realized. I am ready to shine my light. Now that was another thing that, in fact, the word shine was very, very prominent in my process of having my Kundalini rise, because there it was in my search for understanding Christ and so on, and then I opened the scriptures and I felt it was a question that I directly asked and opened the scriptures, and there it was. The message was clear that it was time to shine my light, and so I had to be ready, and I realized that this was in line of saying the questions that you have asked, the questions that you want answers to, you are required to shine for the answers that you are going to get. Because you can't have answers and not do anything about them. What's the good of that? You have a responsibility to act. So that was one of the very important things that I held on to as well. That gave me encouragement. It's like saying it's like God always made the promise of what would happen, or He promised the land, or He promised the children, or He promised something, and then we work towards it. So there would be a vision imprinted in our minds. Hence why it is important that we have some kind of vision of what it is we want to achieve before we go on the journey of activating our Kundalini. It is important that we are able to articulate or have that mind, well, this is what I want to do, and when it happens, this is what I expect to achieve, or whatever it is that, in fact, in my case, is that I would share of myself or share of my experience or shine my light in whatever way I can. It feels like I may have to do another video on this, but let's see how we get on here, because we are in 19-20 minutes. And so I had this series of showers where I would go underneath the shower and I would pray under the shower. I would bless the water that was pouring over me. I would bless every drop as it touched my skin or even before. I would visualize that the water was saturating every cell in my body, was showering and cleansing every neuron, every axon, every synaptic nerve, every bit of myself. I would imagine that that water was cleansing, and it was. And then I would also feel that I was being healed, because healing is what I prayed for. And I also prayed that when I am healed, that I would feel healthy, feel bright, and I would help others to do the same. I would help others through my creativity in whatever gifts that I have been given, which I have been blessed with quite a few. So, if you are on a journey or anticipating having your Kundalini activated, I would ponder on that quite a bit if I were you. Ponder in the sense of what you expect to gain from it, what you expect to give. It's like saying we have to pay something, we have to sacrifice something. Sacrificing, what we have to sacrifice is the negativity, the ego, in the sense of things that no longer serve us, the shame, the guilt, the feeling of unworthiness. I'm not worthy. That has to go. And basically, even write it down. Write your thoughts down. There is something powerful about writing. And it's like when you hear, they would say, or even within the scriptures, and it is written. It's as if when something is written, you can't do anything else about it. It is written. Of course, it's written. You cannot unwrite it. You've done it. It's written. And it is that part of our DNA or whatever that we are making a declaration. Make a declaration with yourself, with your higher self. When you make that declaration, you will get the right guidance. I can, but I'm choosing not to go too much into the other parts or the other things that happened through my experience. But of course, I had lots of visions. I had visions, and not just visions, I had experiences. I was able to get in touch with my inner child, and that was very profound. I had 3 figures, tall figures, who came to me, and I was not fearful. And when they rendered this child to me, I knew that child was me. I knew that that was me at the age of 2, 3. I knew that that was the child within my heart that I had to nurse. That was one part of my experience. So that was another part of my experience that I wanted. I wanted to know what I was like as a child. I had no photograph of myself as a child. I had no insight of what I looked like or how I was as a child. And so I was given that opportunity to see myself as a child. That was one of many things that happened through my activation of my Kundalini. Yes, I was in tremendous pain in my spine. I was in tremendous pain, and I had not understood exactly what was happening at the time. All I knew is that I was meditating because that's what I had committed myself to doing, meditating for 40 days. But I had not understood that I was activating the Kundalini. I did not have a label for it, not at the time. But I knew when my third eye was open, it was open. But the name, the word Kundalini, I wasn't aware that that's what was happening to me, that it hurt. I just knew a lot of things happened. That zap, that noise like it was roadworks taking place. Yes, I had those experiences. So be prepared. Be prepared. I wish you luck. Well, I wish you joy because it's a very joyful accomplishment when you have, it's a wonderful place to be. You do not see things as you did before. You understand the word love. You understand the word compassion. You understand the word light. You understand the word wholeness. You understand the word complete. You understand those words because then when you are at number 5, your eye is open. You do not see from this, you do see, but there's a different sight that happens here, a different kind of seeing. And that's why I understand that with Mother Eve, it was about the third eye. Thank you for watching. I hope you would find this beneficial. Please like and subscribe and share. And it'd be interesting to know your views on the subject. Thank you. Namaste.